So we're here on the expo floor at SMX, and I'm joined by Danny Sullivan from Search Engine Land, one of our pioneers of digital. When you started all those years ago, the world was a very different place. What does it take to be a pioneer now on the internet in 2012?
Oh my goodness. I suppose go where nobody else is at or few people are at. I think it's easy to see something that's maybe like a popular blog or a popular tactic that everybody's talking about and then come into it and say, right, I'm going to just do the same thing. And it's much harder to go in and try to find an area that's important that maybe people aren't talking about, or to explore something in a different aspect. With social, okay, we've got to use Facebook, use Google+, use Twitter, whatever, but are you able to explore ways of doing that differently that people aren't thinking about, people aren't knowing? That's the kind of pioneering I think that people want to do. Or even better, if you're the person who discovers Pinterest.
So, visual.
Well, or not just visual, but I mean, there's an example where I can recall last year at our social media conference, we had a number of community managers that were there. And the woman from Neiman Marcus who was on the panel was saying, oh, well, we're getting all this traffic from something like Pinterest. And it's like, wow, that wasn't something that had registered on my radar and hadn't registered with a lot of other people's radars, but she was already seeing that it was driving a lot of traffic. And so that's an example of a pioneer, that they have found an important area that they've been participating in from the very beginning or fairly close to it, and kind of gotten ahead of the game.
So you've been in this game for 15 years, maybe a little bit longer?
Like 16 or maybe.
You've been a tremendous inspiration to so many people, but who's inspired you over the years?
Well, when I first got going, I was inspired by, people like Glenn Fleischman, for example, who had started a mailing list that was called the Internet Marketing Mailing List, and he was getting people organized and helping them understand how we should maybe market on the internet. This is like 1995, right? And I thought, wow, that kind of information that's being shared, or I think that Eric Ward back then had been starting to share some information on his own postings about building links. And I looked at those sorts of things, and I looked at anybody today who shares information, and that's where I kind of take my inspiration and think, wow, these people have not just been successful, but they've been trying to give back and share some of their knowledge to help other people. And I think that's great. And I think sometimes people will look at that and think, oh, well, yeah, they're going up and they're speaking or they're writing and they're hoping to get business out of it. And, some people get value out of that, but I don't think that's the main reason a lot of people do this stuff. I think there's a lot of people who just think, wow, I'm excited about my industry. I want other people to be excited about it, and I want other people to learn about how they can do better, and I want to share this information freely with them as well. And that's great.
So you've been doing this for a number of years. You get, as a journalist, get the inside scoop from Microsoft, from Google, Facebook, Yahoo, whatever. You get to see a lot of the trends a lot of the time before anybody else will see them. Can you get your crystal ball out and tell us, what might be possible in 10 years, or where you'd like to see the industry going?
10 years is so far away. It is really, really difficult. I'll go out on a limb to say that I wouldn't be surprised in 10 years from now if you still have people talking about trying to get away from 10 blue links, because we will still have 10 blue links because they actually do the job very well. But the search results themselves might be a lot more than that. There might be a lot more interactivity that's going on. It may be that we're not even scrolling in the results, but they're somehow coming up. That when we're doing our searches, I would expect them to be far more personalized than they are now, far more stuff flowing into it. But it's just so difficult because even 2 years ago, you wouldn't have expected Google to have done some of the things they did in terms of bringing in their own social network, because they didn't even have one. And so what they might acquire, who might be merged together, what new thing might come along and shake everything up, it's just so difficult to say. What I do know is in 10 years, people will still be looking for stuff. And there'll be ways that people use to do that, and there'll be opportunities for people who are marketers that are trying to be found. And that hasn't changed at all. You just try to figure out what is it people use to locate information, how do they get those resources, and what are the things that you should be doing to increase the odds that you're being found through them.
Well, thanks very much for letting us feature you in the book. And if you haven't read Danny's story, I think the way that he chose journalism is one of the most amazingly funny stories about how he chose the career he decided to go into. But we'll let you read the book first. Thanks, Danny.
You're welcome. Thank you.